Welcome in. Oh, man, that was no good. Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is All in the Charts bonus weekly close edition. If you appreciate the content, make sure to express a little love for CBG by clicking the thumbs up button, dropping me a comment, and clicking that bell icon for all notifications to know when I go live each and every single weekday, and sometimes on the weekend during market conditions like this. Oof, let's fucking go. Guys, it's very evident to me that we are, at the part of the cycle, if that's what you want to call it, part of the cycle where, it's all been fun and games, right? I've come out here for a year, and we've had all this discussion surrounding price action. We had all this la-di-da time where, here we were correcting and, okay, well, thought more than likely we had bottomed here. We had one final leg, right? And we talked about how this was the beginning of a trend reversal to the upside and melt up before melt down. And, when we get to that part of the, cycle, it's very important that you have your emotions in control. It's very important that you're buying. I'm never giving you financial advice, but it's very important that you're buying at sensible levels. And so you should have been accumulating down here. You should have been buying Solana at $10. But now we're at that part of the cycle, guys. We're at that part of the cycle where not only what the charts are, screaming to me. And guys, really appreciate the support on the thumbs up. Doing a bonus stream on a Sunday, making time out of my day. It takes 5 seconds, guys. When YouTube judges your self-worth based on likes, unfortunately, this is what I need to ask for until I am not judged for my self-worth based on likes from YouTube. But what was I saying here? Not only are there charts just screaming that I've been sharing with you of how much upside potential we more than likely have, just using history as our precedent, but it's also absolutely a feeling that I get. Now, I tell you guys that one of the key things that you need to do to be successful in the markets is you need to curb your emotions, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not getting emotional over here, checking my balance 10 times a day and thinking I'm going to be a bazillionaire. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about getting the emotional feel around me in terms of how people are responding to price. No matter how busy I am throughout the day, I'm trying to keep an active pulse on the community. I try to keep an active pulse on other YouTube channels that I don't necessarily tune in because I value the messages they're conveying, but to, again, get a general sense of the consensus of how they feel, what they think market conditions are like. Who's confused, who's not confused, who's bullish, who's bearish. And so it's very important that you recognize what's beginning to happen. And I'm not sure if, you have found this yourself through the times that you've spent in this market. But, when we were in 2022, and this is a very important point that I'm making here. It's important that you stick around and listen to what I'm going to share with you if you want to succeed in this market. In 2022, everyone was bearish, right? It was extremely contrarian in mid to late 2022 to be bullish, right? It was almost like heresy to come out here during this time period back here and tell people that this was an opportune time to be buying and that $5,000 to $10,000 was very unlikely. Well, there's a possibility for everything, and I've always said that, guys. It was very unlikely, right? And so in that moment in time, it was extremely contrarian to be bullish. Everyone was bearish. All you heard about, what got attention on YouTube, you can go back if you weren't here or you forgot, very prominent influencers, I don't call them educators, very prominent influencers in this space to garner attention on YouTube, to garner attention on Twitter Spaces. All they were talking about was $5,000 to $10,000. Now, as we resumed an uptrend in 2023, what was the primary narrative? The primary narrative was that all of this was just one dead cat bounce, okay? This was a bear market rally because you have to understand the market was set to melt down all the way since mid-2022. Everyone was, if you listen to mass media, there was going to be a mass meltdown in the markets. This is what everyone was waiting for, right? Money market managers were being very conservative with their clients because market conditions were just awful and we were going to melt down. Meanwhile, the contrarian thing to say or reiterate constantly was melt up before meltdown. I cannot tell you how many times I came out on this channel. I cannot tell you how many times I told my family, melt up before meltdown. I just kept repeating the same thing over and over and over again, okay? Now, the other narrative that was very prominent in 2023 was that we faced this area of resistance. And I poo-pooed this notion. There was an area of resistance right around $32,000. I thought it was actually higher. I thought it was up towards 38, but it wasn't. It was right around $32,000, and I'm not going to name names, but once again, the popular YouTubers and the popular Twitter handles were all saying that Bitcoin was going to give us a glorious opportunity for the next 6 months to do this, never get above 32,000, maybe deviate even lower. Remember, there was a CME gap, guys, CME gap. Deviate even lower, and then eventually by the halving, because what we do is we base technical analysis on one date. That's what we do to become mainstream. So there's a halving date, and all of a sudden Bitcoin's going to take off. So Bitcoin's just going to give you this massive opportunity to reaccumulate. Now, I came out and I shared with you that while that was certainly possible, it was not wise to follow the 4-year maxi yellow brick road, right? I don't know if you guys follow me on Twitter, but this is something I had posted out there. Okay? Flash forward to current times. We are now in 2024. Bitcoin has had an all-time high prior to the halving. It set the all-time high back in February. Was it February or was it this month? No, excuse me. It was this month in March. And now what's happening, okay, is that people are scrambling for a narrative. Of course, the natural narrative are ETFs. If you follow this content, it's very, once again, contrarian. The view I take is that the news follows the charts and not the other way around. Why was I convicted that something like this was going to play out? It wasn't because of ETF news. It wasn't because of this or that. First off, it was contrarian, and secondly, it was based off of data and historical view, using a historical view to ascertain what was most and least likely moving forward, right? So that's why I was convicted on that view. So what's beginning to happen now are people are beginning to flip very bullish. They're trying to come up with a narrative. And so the thing we need to pay particular attention to is we need to pay particular attention to just how frothy this market gets. Because at some point, I am once again going to be contrarian. And when everyone, please, for the love of God, remember me saying this, and I will reiterate this. When everyone is saying this time is different, it's a super cycle, maybe the narrative is, well, we peaked, we had an all-time high prior to the halving. This is setting us up for some monumental run in 2025. Bitcoin is going to $500,000. Guys, we need to be contrarian to that. That's not going to happen. Bitcoin is not going to hit $500,000 within the next couple years. That's not realistic. It's just not realistic. Okay. If you believe that, then you're in the camp that thinks XRP is going to $50 or $100 within the next couple years. Like it's not happening. If you allow your emotions to garner your view of the industry, you will make some very poor decisions moving forward. I remember when Quant, and I know this sounds ridiculous to hear this, but this is just a fact of some of the shit that was being spewed on X. When Quant was going on a massive run, let's just pull up the Quant chart here, okay? Because you're going to hear this as well. When quant, there's a reason I'm going off and sharing this information with you guys, and I'll get to my point. When quant was going on this massive run up here to 456, two main narratives were coming about. Number one, quant was coming for Bitcoin. I mean, quite possibly the most moronic thing I saw out on X, Twitter. And secondly, maybe this is even more moronic. I don't know which one is, quite frankly. Quant was never going to see a major correction again, for whatever reason. And I remember commenting on someone's post and saying how unrealistic that was. Let me tell you something. Wherever we do top out, be prepared for a scenario where Bitcoin underwhelms and doesn't even hit 100,000. But wherever we top out, whether it's 95,000 or 120,000 or 130,000, whatever the case is, there is going to be a narrative out there surrounding more than likely ETFs, which will lead you to emotionally conclude, if you allow it to, that Bitcoin will never see a serious correction again because the ETFs won't allow for it. Now, I really want you to digest that for a moment and ask yourself if one of the riskiest asset classes on the planet, now it's been the best performing, but one of the riskiest asset classes on the planet isn't going to have a serious correction when the rest of the stock market is undergoing a massive correction. Like, think about how illogical that is. Now, whether the significant correction because of the growth in market capitalization of Bitcoin is less than it has historically been, I'm very open to that. In fact, if we took a historical look, which we will at some point, we've done it before, you will see that cycle over cycle from all-time high to correction, there have been not only diminishing returns to the upside, but it should intuitively make sense that the corrections to the downside have diminished as well. So what was once maybe an 85 to 87% correction, maybe more in the ballpark of around 77 to 75% correction. So it's reasonable to conclude that we could see a 75, 78% drop, not an 87 or 85% drop. But to conclude that we're not going to see some sort of a significant drop in price after we have euphoria and bubble mania, like if you don't want to take my words of wisdom here, which I feel extremely confident in sharing with you after just evaluating not only crypto markets but markets in general for how many years I've been looking at this stuff, I guess 8 or 9 years in total. You're a big boy or a big girl. You're more than welcome to make your own informed decision. If you think Bitcoin's going to $500,000, XRP's going to $1 million, and we're never going to see a serious correction again, hey, props to you. But what I do want you to look for, and by the way, Digibyte community, the Digibyte video is dropping first thing on Monday. If there is one video, I'm going to harp on it this week. If there's one video I strongly encourage you to watch, which I have ever created, of any video I've ever created, I am having a video coming out this week. I've been talking about this forever. I am going to speak to the handful of topping indicators that I will be looking at to tell me that it is wise to begin to take profits. And I will speak to this in that video. But you really need to understand whether you are a data-minded person or not. I don't know how else to put this to you, and I hope some of you had the opportunity to join me with Alex yesterday on the live stream, which went extremely well outside of the fact that I ran into video issues. I thought the live stream went extremely well, and I'm excited to have him come back on. But in explaining why technical analysis is so valuable, it's a data-driven analysis. It is a data-driven analysis. There is no person with certainty who will be able to tell you what is going to happen in this market. But if we are well equipped with a handful of statistically significant, and I know it's limited price data, but it's the best we have, but statistically significant data that in the lifespan of Bitcoin says when these indicators flash, we've either topped or we're really fucking close to topping. I mean, if I have 5 of those things flashing at me in my opinion, if I make a good argument, a good valid argument, a good logical valid argument in terms of why 5 indicators throughout the entire lifespan of Bitcoin have been good at indicating a blow-off top, and let's say 4 of 5 are flashing that were at a top or super close to it, I think if you're not, for some reason, if you don't want to see that and read that for what it is, you really have to be beyond ignorant. There's nothing else that you can use to tell you when price is going to be topping besides factual, hard factual data, okay? So just keep in mind to take a look out for that video in the coming days here this week. Now, the reason I'm going on this long tangent and I'm going off about sentiment and topping signals is because the other sense that I'm getting based on the price action that we're seeing right now and all of the comparisons that I've made to it to prior parabolic runs in Bitcoin and the topping indicators that I'm looking at. None of them have triggered, but a couple are getting close, okay? I believe we are setting up right now, immediately, starting this week. You hear what I'm saying? Starting this week for massive upside potential and volatility in the market. And so you really need to know what you're doing. All these many months, practically a year that I've been live streaming every single day, this is entering that moment of what I've been speaking to. And so you really need to be well equipped to respond to the incoming volatility that you will see. Earlier this week, I think it was Thursday. Was this on Thursday? Thursday here. We saw these three red candles, right? We saw Thursday, Friday. Look at this volatility. Look at that wick. Ugh, ugly ass. I mean, if you take this down to even a smaller time frame, look at the volatility on a 4-hour time frame. Look at this, riding up, down, down, up, down. We're getting a lot of volatility coming into the market. And if you are not taking a higher time frame perspective on the charts, this is why on Friday I encouraged everyone to essentially ignore the volatility and let's just wait for the weekly and monthly close to come in to see how we're setting up. That's the smartest thing you can do. The other thing you need to pay attention to, and I said this on X or Twitter, you need to begin paying attention to I'll have fun with you guys if you follow me. I try to have my own sense of humor where I'll put stuff out there on X or Twitter to joke around. But during high volatile periods, you really need to make sure that you're keeping a temperature gauge on the people who are responding logically and factually versus just emotionally, okay? There's nothing emotional about the messages that I was delivering to you on Friday. I was sharing with you that we needed to be patient and see how the week and month printed. Now, as it comes to be, we're printing in about 10 minutes here. Okay, I don't know if we're going to be live or not in 10 minutes, but probably will be. But this candle, remember, if you were with me on Friday, this weekly candle right now, and I got to adjust the lighting on my camera. This is I look like a vampire, like I just came out of the crypt here. I don't know what's going on. The lighting is horrendous. Anyway. The candle shape here is coming in exactly what I was, again, just an educated guess. This is an indecision candle. Unless something changes within the next 10 minutes, this is going to be an indecision candle. Now, the indecision candle is telling you a couple things. This is the key thing to take away. We spoke about this on Friday. We have approximately equidistant wicks in both directions, up and down. So there was both some buyer exhaustion and seller exhaustion and a thin body. The thin body is telling you we opened and closed price relatively neutral, pretty much at the same level. And so the way you can think of it is there's a tug of war. Price wants to go up, then it gets rejected. Price wants to come down, but then it gets rejected back to the upside, right? There's a tug of war between bears and bulls right now, okay? And you best be a motherfucking bull, all right? So This is a nice bowl, a very nice Bitcoin bowl. Glad I got that. But there is a tug of war going on right now. Now, sometimes these tug of wars, what they result in is sideways consolidation as the market decides what it wants to do. Do I want to break up or I want to break down? And sometimes an indecision candle will result in immediate price action, and we'll just see a movement down or a movement up. Now, in this case, the last time we had an indecision candle on the weekly was back in the middle of February. We had a bullish engulfing candle the following week, and we subsequently tapped our impulsive top at $64,000 and then made all new time highs the following week. Do I know what price is going to do this week? No. I mean, it could be an indecision candle. I don't expect much to the downside, but it could be an indecision candle or a strong impulsive impulsive movement up in price. I think both are equally likely. I'm kind of 50-50 on both, to be honest with you. We'll just have to see how price prints. But I will say this. I would not be surprised. Mark my words. I would not be surprised if we see $80,000 Bitcoin this week. And if we don't see it this week, I will be pretty surprised if we don't. I mean, part of me hates putting time frames on price because I think people get super locked into that. So I'll keep it at this. I think it's possible for Bitcoin to hit around the $80,000 mark this week. If it doesn't, it's happening soon, okay? But the other key thing that I need you guys to be paying attention to, and by the way, that monthly close is going to be coming in, we still got a couple weeks for that. So hopefully I'll be here for you with the monthly close on the 31st. But I wanted to pull up, anybody in dog with chain? Dog with hat? Tweeted this out, guys. I've been comparing some of the meme coins against one another because I own WIF, I own Bonk, I own Pepe, and I own Doge. Doge is my blue chip. So really the way to look at it is the remaining Doge that I have, I said I'm not selling. I'm not considering selling until I think we're near a top. But the Pepe, the Bonk, and the WIF are sort of my other riskier hedges. Okay, I'm not going any riskier than that. But anyway, this chart is the WIF versus Pepe chart. This isn't a clear bull flag, and it looks like it's breaking to the upside. Okay, so we'll have to see. Right now, it looks like we've double topped. But one of these meme coins, guys, and again, one way, and I shared this on the live stream yesterday, one way that I'm different today than I was in prior cycles is I'm paying a lot more attention to not just what is fundamentally a sound project and possibly something great to invest in and the chart looks good. I'm also paying attention to narratives. And I've shared with you for months now. It's been months, guys, that I've been saying this. Meme coins needed to be some percentage of your portfolio, social tokens. It's a huge narrative. It has been for a bit now. And it's only been gaining momentum. So if you don't have some form of a social token in your portfolio, you're not creating as much alpha as you otherwise could, okay? So one of these tokens, whether it's with Pepe or Bonk, they're going to be making a serious run at Shiba Inu, okay? If I was a betting man based on the charts, just the way they're set up right now, I would not be surprised if we come over here and right now, and I actually wanted to take some time to talk about Solana because it actually ties into this, so it's a good transition point. I always say this on this channel. I don't care how you feel about this. Facts are facts, okay? Dog with hat was not at the top 43 a couple weeks ago. It's all the way up at market cap 43. It is a $3 billion market cap. To reach Shiba Inu at current prices, it has to do essentially a 5x, a 5.5x, which would put it around over $15, approaching $17, okay? So could Dog with Hat in the next couple months easily do a 5x and catch up to Shiba Inu? Abso-fucking-lutely, okay? And if you think that's impossible, you haven't been here. This thing's in a parabola. Okay. I'll just leave it at that. We'll come back and see what happens. But now this actually does relate. Talking about this meme coin does actually relate to my next point. Now on Friday, I made the case. I keep wanting to say I made the business case. I'm not at work. I don't know what's going on right now. Although I was working earlier. Is it this chart? Now, I made the point on Fridays, and was it? Now, technically, it would have been Thursday. I misquoted myself. So it wasn't that alt season started on Friday. Alt season started on Thursday. Well, I forget what I said, what I was looking at here, but probably what I should have said was Thursday. Regardless, whether it was Thursday or Friday, I'll have to take a second look at that. Whether it was Thursday or Friday, I believe I would have actually been Thursday. I believe the price action in Solana, for the reasons that I shared with you, I'm not going to regurgitate the same thing to you. Thursday and Friday's price action to me signaled the start of alt season. Now, we need follow through this week, but I believe it is very, very possible that it has signaled the start of alt season. Now, one of the things I didn't hit on, I don't think well enough on Friday's live stream, and a point I did want to make, beyond the inverse relationship that existed those handful of days between price performance of Bitcoin and Solana, and I shared with you guys Solana was sort of showing us the way, and other altcoins would eventually follow, Ethereum and all this. One of the reasons I feel this way is because I've been making the case, okay? We can see the RSI is doing what I said. This is weekly Bitcoin dominance. I've been making the case that Bitcoin dominance would have one last gasp up here, right? But what if it doesn't? What if it just begins to roll over? This is a major, 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 major fact that you need to watch for in the charts. When this line breaks definitively, when we see price action begin to come down below this line, depending on the timing, I can't tell you what the price is going to be or the percentage, because it's going to vary because it's an increasing line, it's ascending. It's going to vary depending upon what week we break down, right? It could be at 52. It could be more towards 53. But it looks like, quite honestly, depending what week it is, and I'm expecting this to occur within the next handful of weeks, when you start seeing dominance, I'll give you a percentage to keep in mind. Dominance right now is 53.5%. When you see dominance beginning to bleed towards 52%, which is only a 1.5 down, a really clear sign that we could be breaking down, okay? And I suspect, based on the momentum that is taking place currently within the market and the fact that Solana has the opportunity and potential to see new all-time highs as early as this week, I believe that you're going to begin to see a breakdown in Bitcoin dominance at latest by April, okay? But again, my view is that altcoin, we will not know until hindsight, but I believe that altcoin season has started because, again, you don't need all of your altcoins running off 100% to signal alt season. You need some sort of leading indicator to signal to you that there is a change on the horizon with dominance and capital is going to begin flooding into your altcoins. And I believe we got that on Thursday, Friday last week. So I am here. I will officially throw my hat in the ring and say alt season has already started. And we'll find, I'm either going to be proven very correct or very incorrect. We will know in time when we look back at the charts. But regardless, remember, I've been saying to you that mid to late March, remember, I've been saying this for several weeks now. Mid to late March, I felt fairly confident that we would really begin to see the beginning of alt season and beginning to see a lot of these alts starting to make some movements up. So we'll have to see if that pans out. Now, what should happen corresponding with all of that is you are going to see Bitcoin move, if it's still moving in the direction that I believe, whether it happens this week or next week, like I said, whenever it is, you're going to see one little final gasp up here towards this $80,000 range, whether we hit 78, 79, 82, 83, whatever the case is. And then we're going to have a pullback. And as we're getting this pullback and Bitcoin is topping here, your alts are they're going to fucking run hard. Go back to early 2021 if you want to get a sense in terms of just how hard things are going to run. So again, I think in the shorter shorter term here, guys, and I think my signaling top signals video is going to speak to this. We're setting up for a large move, and I'll probably hit on this in the video as well, but kind of the primary view, which I tend to agree with at the moment, is we're going to have to keep, and this is an important point as well, we're going to have to keep a very accurate eye on how the market looks over these handful of months. And even if we get those topping indicators, it's going to be interesting to see how the market looks, because kind of two trains of thought I've been hearing and reading about, and I tend to agree with, because again, as technical, as TA driven as I am, the interest and liquidity cycles, the interest rate cycles and liquidity cycles are very interesting, learning about that. And so what I'm driving at is we could see that euphoric top come in this summer, and that's it. We could see a mini top in the first half of this year, and then a correction for 4 to 5 months, and then a second top in early 2025. So these are all things that we have to consider, but the main thing is that what the video is going to focus on is we are going to use history. We're going to use factual information, and when 4 to 5 of those, 4 out of 5 flash, in my opinion, it is smart to start selling your Bitcoin, and all coins will be topping shortly thereafter. Let's see who we have in the live stream. We'll look in the weekly close. Pat, welcome in. Oof. Yeah, people forget that, oof. It's very similar to saying, well, the relative strength index is above 70. Yeah, well, do you actually know what that means beyond just a textbook definition? Yes, it means we're overbought. But what does it mean in the history of Bitcoin? When Bitcoin has its most impulsive movements in the market, where's the relative strength index on the weekly? And by the way, Digibyte community, very interesting tidbit of information on the Digibyte weekly chart. So you're going to want to, reminds me, you're going to want to make sure you pay close attention to the video. All of those videos where I was talking about explosive price movements, imminent, well, we're finally at a point where it's going to be happening sooner rather than later. And it's going to be quick. I haven't spoken to HBAR in a while in terms of where I see it going this cycle. I'll have to think about, maybe I can share that later this week. Excuse me. Maybe I can share that later this week and go into a few different projects and talk about realistic price targets. What's up, Track? Good to see you in here. Getting a little tired, guys. I didn't get the greatest sleep last night. Do you think WIF will outperform Pepe due to Sol flipping? So, and you know what? God damn, you reminded me. I forgot to mention something. Oh, Sol flip BNB, nice. I had posted something out on Twitter, and I was only half joking. In fact, I think I mentioned this to you. On Friday, which was, I think at this part of the cycle with Solana's performance, and you can see, I mean, it's going to break all-time highs. Again, I wouldn't be surprised. It's sitting at $200. It just, remember how I said it had to make a 50% move? It's just a 34% move, and it's going to break all-time highs. So, could happen this week. But anyway, with Solana performing as well as it is, you could literally just blindfold yourself and pick anything in the Solana ecosystem, and you're going to do well. And that's tongue-in-cheek, because obviously you want to look at the chart and make sure, if you're taking a trade, the chart looks beautiful. If you're taking an investment position, you got to, look into the project as well. But WIF is part of that ecosystem, right? Part of the Solana ecosystem. So it is another reason that it doesn't surprise me. And actually, if I'm just speaking from a fundamental perspective, if I think Solana is going to hit anywhere near $1,000, which I've been saying for a very long time, I do think it's going to, and you think it's going to have a very high market cap, it's not going to overtake ETH, but it's going to have a very high market cap, then the ecosystem should do really well, and it would make sense that there would be a meme coin associated with that ecosystem that would rival Shiba Inu, right? So you got Doge with Bitcoin, you got Shiba Inu with Ethereum, and you got WIF with Solana. So intuitively, it makes sense that if Solana's making a really hard push this year, it's going to have a meme coin associated with it, rival Shiba Inu, just like Solana will rival Ethereum, although it won't flip it. Now, secondly, one of the charts that I spoke to, and maybe you commented before I shared this, this is the WIF Pepe chart. Okay, again, I own all three, Bonk, WIF, and Pepe. But when charting them against one another to find which one looks strongest and which one I feel confident holding a larger position of those three, this chart and the one with Bonk leads me to conclude that until proven otherwise, WIF is going to outperform both of them. Again, it's not an emotional opinion. It's just what the charts are saying. I don't know BOEM, my friend. I do not know BOEM track. Not familiar with it. Let's take a look at the weekly close. So one of the nice things about price action for this week, and you guys, maybe I'll allude to this when I drop that video later this week, but it did allow, there was one technical indicator in particular. Okay, good, RSI isn't too hot. It's at 86. We were getting a little hot there at 88, and I'll speak to this in the topping video, but once you get this RSI up towards 90, you're getting a little too hot. But there was one topping indicator that was that's on my list, and it was getting very close to flashing last week, very close. And then what happened was we got that pullback over Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and allowed that indicator to cool off. So it never flashed. So that's why I say to you guys, as much as, look, we went deeper and we had that correction at a point when I didn't think we were going to get it. I did not. Again, I'm not Nostradamus. I can't tell you what's going to happen every single day with price action. But that's why it's so important to take these higher time frame views. And it's why I shared with you guys that when you have price action coming in like this, okay, when you have price action coming in like this, okay, and if we do one of these things, it's very healthy because we've had nothing but up, right? We need to cool off. When you allow price to cool off, this should intuitively make sense to you. I've harped on this a lot. If price gets too hot too quickly and we enter a parabola too soon, when we fall, there are no tree branches to grab onto. As we continue stair-stepping up, not only do we want to build price confluence so that when we come down and we correct, there are some lines there we can fall on or tree branches we can grab onto. But the other thing is we have price indicators on charts for a reason, because history tells us that when we get too hot, especially too quick, the likelihood is we're going to see some sort of a sharp sell-off. So you want to allow those price indicators to cool, okay, and for price to consolidate to allow further price expansion. I feel like a weather forecaster every time I do this, all right? So it was healthy to see that price action come in. But we closed exactly like I said. We closed with an indecision candle, seeing some red in the market after an extremely positive day. That's not surprising one bit. When I wake up tomorrow morning, I am definitely more than half expecting to see green in the market. But again, you know, tomorrow's price action isn't going to make me feel one way or the other. We have to understand that we just had a massive movement up today, so we could see a little bit of consolidation tomorrow. Nothing wrong with a little red in the market, but wouldn't be surprised to see some strong bullish momentum continue into the markets tomorrow. So let's take a quick look at where it's sold closed right below this line at around 212. Let's take a really quick look at Ethereum. I thought I had a Sol ETH chart. Guess I don't. Thought I had one. I know I charted it at some point. Ethereum. Oh, this is the BTC relativity. Nothing new there. Okay, this is the weekly chart. I would have liked to have seen this red body a little thinner, but we're still right in between here. Now, technically, I can put this green because We stayed above this line with the preceding candlestick, which would be here once we broke through it. So there is an area of support. Ultimately, what you want to see from Ethereum this week, I'd like to see it hold the $3,600 level, right? Ultimately, you want to push through this $4,000 psychological level. I will say this, something I do feel convicted on, something you can watch for in Ethereum. When you see Ethereum breaking $4,000 for the second time, that'll be tapped it here and then broke it here. It'll technically be the third time. This will be the third time. Once Ethereum gets up to $4,000, it's going to break. Mark my words. Remember me saying this. When you see Ethereum up towards $4,000, CBG is telling you it's breaking and we're going towards new all-time highs and breaking it. Remember, it's kind of comical. It's actually kind of comical if you're following anyone who is calling for a double or triple top. They'll look at this market and they'll say, oh, this is so classic. Here, I'll draw you this pattern. Yeah, this, in technical analysis, you see this has been nothing but we're triple topping here. What's hilarious about that is that I could pull up like 5, 6, 7 other charts that tell us that all of the momentum is to the upside based on history and that we should expect over the next handful of months, if not more, continued upside, massive upside. Not only that, but what's also comical about that, we haven't seen any breakdown in Bitcoin dominance. Okay, if we never saw a breakdown in dominance and dominance just continued doing this, that is not what history tells us. We always have these massive breakdowns in dominance, massive breakdowns in dominance, massive breakdowns in dominance. We haven't seen anything. We've been in this uptrend. So you're telling me we've topped? The market's topped and we haven't even seen a breakdown in dominance. You're telling me we've topped in the market. Bitcoin set a new all-time high, but you're telling me none of these major alts, Ethereum, Solana, BNB, I don't know if BNB hit its all-time high yet. I haven't checked that chart. But Solana and Ethereum in particular, right? You're telling me neither Ethereum or Solana broke its all-time high, and yet we've topped. We just looked at the total 2, and total 3 market caps. Like if we look at total, where the hell is this at? So you're telling me Bitcoin has topped, but yet the total cryptocurrency market cap hasn't even touched its all-time high, which is all the way up here at 3 trillion. Like I bet you I could pull up 10 charts. 10 charts that would spit in the face of the theory that we're having a triple top. Again, anything is possible, but there's just nothing. There's nothing, because I have thought about this. Is there anything I'm intentionally avoiding to look at? Is there anything I'm trying to find any biases in my line of thinking. Is there anything that sort of does spit in the face of this narrative? Anything bearish I'm looking at? Sort of anything concerning? There isn't. There literally isn't. If there was a concerning chart out there and I said, something that, history says that on this channel, when I do find something that, even if I don't think it's going to play out, we still need to be wary of it, I point it out, right? I was continuing to say to you, case in point, melt up in the stock market before meltdown, but I've pointed to you on a 3-month chart the negative divergences on the RSI, on the Dow Jones. That's going to play out at some point in my opinion, but I still felt it was melt up before meltdown. So I have not seen anything in these charts that lead me to feel uncomfortable about us being at or near a top at this point. Again, what would you call this? I have this on the weekly? Okay, that's fine. I was going to put it on the 2-week, actually. I have to put it on the 2-week. If I put this on the 2-week, come on, guys. Like, what is this? You tell me what this is. Right? And it's the same, we can look at the same fucking thing going on from multiple times. All of these impulsive wave movements. This is the wave 3 impulsive top. Okay? This is a parabola. You can see it's to a sharper degree. This is the wave 1 impulsive top right here. This is a parabola, guys. Again, it's a freaking parabola, all right? And when it broke downside, we're not breaking this parabola, guys. So just stay very level-headed. I'm telling you right now, if you haven't been here before, I've been trying to condition you guys for months. I mean, this is that moment. Like, get your emotions in check, guys. You're going to have downside day volatilities. If you're tweeting at me and posting shit and saying, when's Caspa moving and I've been waiting forever. Guys, it's been consolidating for a month. Get over it. Like, I have a box of tissues here. Like, you need to get control of your emotions. You know, and in particular with that asset, like, you're the best performing asset over the last, like, year and a half, and you're bitching and moaning because it hasn't moved in a month. Like, it's really, this community in general, and I know it's not my audience, I know not you guys, but the crypto community in general suffers from impatience. It's like ADD with the charts, or ADD with the prices, I should say. Like, just this is the time to seize the moment, right? And I'm going to be here live every single day, kind of guiding you through what I'm seeing. Make sure that you click the bell icon to know when I go live each and every single weekday this week, as well as to know when that topping video comes out. Because like I said, there's no other video that I will put out this year. There's no other video that I have put out that is more important, if you value my technical analysis, which clearly you do because you're here, then understanding what I personally will be looking at to tell me that more than likely Bitcoin is topping, right? And I'll make sure to keep you updated on those signals. So until next time, everybody, let's all spread awareness and carry the education forward. Good to see everyone. I'll be back, should be back tomorrow. All right, take care.